What's up, everybody? RCP here with another Get to Know Halloween edition with the boys of Here's to the Night.
What's
Roobyn,
up?
Steve, not here, not showing anyway. Marty and Danny. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
All right, great Halloween show tonight. Looking forward to it, so we won't keep this very long.
Okay.
All right, first of all, let's start out. Name of the band Here's the Night. Is it as simple as from the song, or is there something else to it?
Yeah, came directly from the song. Our former bass player, we were kind of all texting back and forth in a group conversation, trying to think of something snappy, something cool, and it just kind of fit. Had that kind of like prom night, good time feel. So,
tell us a little bit about the band, how you guys came together, and how we got to where we are now.
Well, Steve and Marty actually come from the cover world. Danny and I were kind of original band guys.
Okay.
Played original music, toured, and all that stuff. I actually had quit music, and I wasn't playing at all. I took like a year hiatus, and our former bass player called me up one day and said, "Hey, I know you've been talking about doing this cover band thing. You know, I have an idea for it. I have this guy Steve that's interested, and he's like, let's get together." I was like, all right, cool. So we met up and talked. Him and I hit it off immediately, and I guess the rest is history.
Yep.
Now, my understanding, Danny originally led the band. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, he did. He was the singer. Our original bass player was obviously the bass player,
Right.
and but yeah, he led the band. And then when this opportunity came along, Marty's voice. I mean, he's got a voice like a bird. So
Jesus.
Yeah. So you know, having three singers on the front
Right.
that all have really great voices, they're talented at their instruments. You know, it just made sense to do it like this.
I know you have a vast love of music, and it ranges from everything, just about virtually everything. So why a 90s tribute versus a regular cover where you could be more versatile with what you like?
Yeah, I mean, probably just for the sake of doing something different. There's a lot of bands out there, and when we were trying to form a band, we wanted to do something different to separate ourselves anyway. And you know, rather than just slug it out in the clubs with everybody else and just kind of play all the standards, which is great too. But when you're forming a new band's tough, and trying to catch on is tough. So we figured we had to kind of go a different route. So we just decided to play things that we like, things we grew up with. When the band first started, it was really heavily B-sided, maybe even a little bit selfish. But as the band evolved and we saw what kind of worked, we were able to kind of meet in the middle a little bit and crafted the set list, really well. And it's been popping for us. So digging it.
Yeah, you guys do. I mean, you still have that wide range within a decade. You know what I'm saying? You still can play a little bit of rock. You can go a little softer with some pop stuff, even in there. But it just it gives you that little bit. I always say the one thing that always I feel is missing from '90s is a hard metal.
Right.
And that's the one thing that I know that you do love, and I'm like, that's the one thing.
Well, even when we play the chick tunes, I mean, it's a bunch of ugly tattooed dudes on stage, so we'll give it an edge.
That's fair. That's fair. okay, over the summer, you guys celebrated your 200th show. And over just a few short years, really, for those 200 shows. How do you keep every show fresh from it not just being just another show?
I think honestly with that is the love. Everybody in this band has a love for stagemanship. We all have our own vibe and we all have our own character on stage. It's actually kind of like a boy band where every member has their own thing that we do, and I think that's what keeps it fresh. We each get up on stage and every night's different because each of us and our characters are different. Different things are going on stage, and we just try to have fun with it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We're playing music with our best friends, and we're playing music that we love and that we grew up on. I mean, it's hard to,
It's interesting you say that because the one thing I've said when I see you guys not at a show is many times you're still together doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are, it's that whole best friend mentality. It's not bands that we show up, do gigs, but then we don't see each other until we come do another
once
gig.
it becomes a job, it becomes kind of unenjoyable. And I
Right.
think that's probably why we got away from some of the bands we were in the past, because it's just, when it's a chore, you don't want to do it. Music's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something you look forward to, and we're fortunate to have, four dudes that, really get along, and our, our drum tech and our stage manager, Nick and John, they do a great job, and they fit right in with us too. It's a nice little family we got going on.
And that's the biggest thing. It is a family. I mean, we go to their kids' birthday parties and cookouts, and I mean, we are always together when we can. So,
You guys have sold out Fillmore. You've done Baltimore Soundstage. You've done massive festivals down in North Carolina. And then you come to some of the local pub areas where it's not a 2,000 person gig, it's maybe 100 to 150 gig.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that switch at? To turn from, I know there's got to be a different attitude. Well, I don't know if attitude's the right word, but from knowing you're playing a 2,100 person gig to a club that you may put 150 into.
Well, I think that's what's good about the personality of everybody in the band is I would like to think, hopefully, that we put on the same show whether it's in front of 2,000 people or 20 people. I mean, we have fun doing what we're doing. Sometimes the stages are bigger, sometimes the crowds are bigger, but we're playing stuff we like with people we like. So, to me, other than having to get there a little earlier for load-in, it feels pretty similar to me.
Other than a 5 hour before loading
Right,
for Fillmore
yeah.
shows and
Right.
stuff
and
like
you
that.
you prepare the same every show. It's an athlete. Just like an athlete. They play in a different stadium to a different crowd every week. You prepare the same way every single time, and you go out and you do what you can do and do your best every single time, no matter if there's 5 people or 5,000 people. I mean, it's everybody deserves. Everybody goes through their own week and comes out to see you play on the weekend. They deserve the best show that you can give them that night.
I agree. Next question's for you. One thing that I've seen you do, and I said it from the first night I ever saw you, that I don't see any other drummer really do, is engage the crowd as the drummer. Obviously, you have your 3 guys in the front, and they were doing it all night. But you do it, and I gotta admit, when I first saw you, I was like, yeah, he's stretching. He's doing it, stretch, get up out of the drum seat. But it's not. It's something you really... Where did that come... And I say this, where does that come from? Because I don't see other drummers do it. And a lot of times, like, if you have a musical influence or something, you drew that from an influence. But I don't see other drummers doing that anywhere. Even National Act Band, many other drummers don't do that. That's really, honestly, that's one of the coolest things I think of any of it, is what you do with that.
It comes from, it actually comes from Lars Ulrich from Metallica. When I was just getting into music when I was a teenager, and I was never allowed to listen to Metallica when I was a kid. I had to listen to Christian rock because my family is very Christian. And when I was 16, my mom let me watch MTV for the first time, and Metallica Until It Sleeps came on. Mm-hmm. And there's a part, they go through the bridge, and the last chorus where they come in, and he just had this thing about him, and when he hit, I was like, that's what I wanted to do. That's who I want to be. And the next day, I was like, Mom, I want a drum kit. I want a drum kit. And I just pounded her until Christmas, and she got me a drum kit. And And then once it's funny. I think Metallica Load record and Reload are great records, but people are like, now their other records are way better, and I appreciate them way more than that. But it's that, Lars, when he comes, he's not the greatest drummer in the world, and he'll admit that to you. But when he comes out, he engages, he commands that stage, and that's why Metallica is the way that they are, and that's kind of where I get it from. I think everybody should have a character on stage. There's drummers out there that are amazing drummers, but they just
right. And I think that's the one thing that drew me was that he has you don't think drummers have a personality when you see most bands. Mm-hmm. The drummer's behind the drum kit. He sets the time and everything else, but that's fine. But at the end of the day, he's just back there. Even from a picture standpoint, a lot of times it's harder to take pictures of the drummer, but it's not with you because you are mobile. You get up a little bit. You engage the crowd. You're singing the songs, where a lot of drummers just don't even remotely do that. So I think it's really, really cool. I've said it to you, I think, before, but it's really, really cool. I like how that happens. Next question for you as well. You have these three guys in front of you, and Lord knows what they end up deciding to do. Okay? God love Danny Mays. He will pop off anything. How do you keep composure? I've seen you keep composure sometimes. You go, I'm like, how is he doing it when everything is in front of you that you don't miss a beat? You just don't. I've seen nights where it's just been, wow, they just did that. And he just kept on going. You just kept on going. And that's in front of you. They know what they're doing. They're kind of there's not as much communication back from them to you that we're about to do this, and it happens.
I think the biggest thing is that it boils down to, it goes back to the family thing. Like, we all know how each other reacts to things, and obviously you kind of have to be visual and understand kind of what's going on stage, but we all know what's going to happen and what each of us is going to do. And that's, I think, one of the big reasons why, we've had the success that we've had is because of that. We can interact with each other, and there is goofy parts of our show, there's serious parts of our show, there's times where we just dig in and just go for it, but each of us is comfortable with who we are in the band, and we each know our role, and we each know what we need to do and how we need to do it. And if somebody isn't feeling good that day, the other person picks them up, and
it speaks to the longevity of a band.
Exactly. It just goes back to being good friends. These are my best friends. This is my family, and that's that's just how it goes.
Now you're not
if a band came to you wanting to get into the scene right now, what's the advice you would give to them?
Like I said before, it's super hard, forming something new and getting people excited about it. But I think what served us well out of the gate is every time you put something out there, whether it's a Facebook post or a photo shoot or you're going to come out with a new T-shirt or whatever, it needs to be your best foot forward all the time. If you treat something like $1 million, eventually other people are going to say, hey, this is $1 million product. So, we all play cover songs, we all play at bars, so there's, a certain element of it that is smoke and mirrors. And, some bands are better, manipulating that than others. And I think that's a super important thing, is if you treat it seriously and people see how seriously you take it, then they're just going to fall right in. I mean, if you're excited about it, it's going to be contagious. So always put your best foot forward when putting something out there. And don't rush it out there either. I mean, if it's not ready and the personnel's not right, then, get it right, because, first impressions are super important.
Best story that you can tell from the road.
Best story to tell from the road.
And honestly, I could care less what story you tell from the road.
I got a perfect one. It actually just happened.
Enough time.
It happened a couple weeks ago. We were coming back from North Carolina. We played down there, and we were heading back. And it's bright. We left early so we could get back. And we're driving, and all of us are like, we gotta go to the bathroom. Like, we have to stop. So I'm like, well, let's just stop at this exit. So we pull off, and there's a hotel, and I'm like, that's the greatest place in the world to go to the bathroom, because let's go, So we go there. All of us walk in the hotel like we own the place. We go to the bathroom. Well, they have continental breakfast set up, and him and I are like, dude, you hungry? And he's like, yeah. So,
I already know where this is going.
The rest of the guys are in the van. Me and him are in the continental breakfast making breakfast. But we had a whole plate. Just cruise on out the door, get in the van.
And that goes back to the attitude of being a successful band. You walk in like, you walk onto the music scene like you own it, but walk into the hotel like we're a guest. Walk in, say hi to the door guy like you just saw him a couple hours ago. Give him one of those, give him the Shooter McGavin. Walk in there, grab you a sticky bun and roll. And no one's going to say anything.
Might say the word.
That is awesome.
Gotta eat.
All right. On a light note, leaving it on a light note, I've been told to ask you about putting a certain person's guitar rig together while watching the Maryland game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kind of remember this.
Okay.
Right. That was a good night. Yeah, Rob Byer from Kanye Twitty and of Faded Image fame. He came over to the house one night, and it was supposed to be an in and out thing. Like, we're gonna put together his new pedal board, maybe watch a little bit of the game, whatever. Well, it was snowing outside. So I'm like, man, what if I just, put this bottle of, Kettle One just in the snow? It's a commercial. It looks good. Maybe we'll sip one, maybe we won't. Well, my wife, she made us nice dinner. So we had a belly full of food. We're like, all right, well, we're going to have a cocktail or two. So I had that, and they were like, man, let's have another cocktail. And then turn around, my dad's whiskey cabinet sitting there. I'm like, Rob, you were supposed to be home 3 hours ago. We're watching Alter Ego in the Key West live stream, crushing drinks. He's supposed to be there for 45 minutes, and it's 6 hours. Ordered a cheeseburger pizza from Papa John's. He's home the next morning. I'm not sure if he even knew how that happened. He might have teleported. And there's Reese's cup wrappers all in his father-in-law's truck that he had borrowed that day. So I'd like to tell you more about the evening, but that one got away from us a little bit. It was a good one.
You had talked a little bit about originals, and that's kind of one thing. Clubs now seem to want to use cover bands to fill or use over DJs because it's a little more entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is being lost, I think anyway, maybe I'm wrong, is the original scene in that. What is your, how do you see right now the music scene out there as it is?
I'll probably get burned at the stake for saying this, but I think the music scene in Baltimore, when we were coming up, when I was doing Goldmine Squad and Havoc in Hollywood, when we were coming up, it was really great. And I remember being in high school, going to see Laughing Colors and Crushing Day and Live Alien Broadcast and all these bands. And it was just so great, and everybody was so helpful. And I remember having a conversation with Dave T from Laughing Colors, and he met me in a giant parking lot one day to give him my demo. Like, that's the kind of people, like, it was like that, and and I feel like coming through that, I feel like it got lost somewhere. There's clubs out there that they need numbers to stay open, and original music just, whatever it is that, has happened, I'm not sure, things have changed, and society has changed, and music tastes have changed, and all that stuff, so I don't know.
But I've always said, you guys are so talented. What is the harm in continuing to do the cover part, working on originals, and say you play one or two originals a night in a show?
Yeah.
What's the harm in that?
There's no harm in that.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I mean, we know enough people where, if we put together, an original set, when our friends and some of the national acts come to town, we can obviously play with them, maybe do some Warped Tour stuff. But I think the problem is we'd have to take, a considerable, chunk of time away to write, to record, and because we're not just going to put something out.
Correct.
We're gonna,
I agree.
And we have a lot of commitments locally to people and to different, buyers and venues, and so, do you really want to take 3 months off just to do something self-indulgent? Maybe. Probably not at this point. I know we have kicked around some stuff, and I think we have probably a nice little surprise for everybody come Christmas time. But is it something we're going to do? Probably not right this second, but we're probably on our way to it, I'm sure.
One thing that always impresses me, and we've kind of touched on it, but we haven't talked about I guess the one thing that I always ask is, you guys have worked all week. This is your second show of the weekend. What drives you, regardless of anything, to come to a room full of people you don't know? For the most part. Mm-hmm. You have those that you do, obviously. But to come to a room after you've worked all week, busted your tail, you're probably, especially on a Friday night, you're exhausted as hell. You play a show. Where does that drive come from? I mean, you can say it's love of music, but there's got to be a drive somewhere down in
Everybody's probably a little different, I mean, everybody's got, different day jobs. Some people do it, for a living. But I think the fact that people are willing to, like Roobyn said earlier, they slag through their jobs all week. They got stuff going on, and they're choosing to come out and spend their money to see you play. And if that doesn't get you up and motivate you to show up and do a good job, then probably nothing will. We're very fortunate that we get to play the places we play in front of the people we get to play in front of and do as well as we do. A lot of that is Starley's been tremendously supportive of us, and there's a nice little tight knit group of bands that help each other out, and we all kind of keep each other motivated too. I mean, what you guys do on Facebook, and RCP has really made other bands more aware of what each other's doing, and it's not so much like a one-upmanship anymore. It's hey, they're out doing it now, I can't wait to get out and do my show this weekend too. So it's a little bit of everything. There's personal reasons for doing it. Your colleagues are out there doing it, and we're fortunate to do it, so be excited about it or don't do it.
I think for me, it's, I start my work week on Monday going, where am I playing this weekend? Right. That kind of thing.
That's funny. That's how I start my work week. Where am I going this weekend?
Yeah, and, I know I can speak for Steve in this. Steve and I are very much we love the stage setup. We love the amp covers and the banners and all that stuff. And him and I really get off on setting the stage up and, the light boxes and all that stuff and having that showmanship. I think that's one of the reasons why I cover music. I think it kind of went through a lull a little bit a few years ago, but now that it's coming back because everybody's putting time into their show and making a show out of when people, like I said, when people come out from their normal everyday 9 to 5s and they're coming into a bar, they're expecting to see some cover band over in the corner just playing, but they walk in and there's this huge banner and scrims and lights and all this, and they're like, wait a second, who are these guys? And then you're able to engage them and you're able to give them that show. The ultimate thing in a cover band is to play and to give those people the feeling of that band on stage actually playing. So if it's Blink-182 or the Backstreet Boys or Britney Spears, that's the job of a cover band, is to put them in that feeling that they had when they first heard that song.
Which is why Danny wears women's underwear at all the shows. You got to sell it.
Oh yeah,
now you know.
Yep.
All right, I was going to ask you for a secret on Danny, but I guess it's out now. So
there it is.
That's it.
All right. Final question. Well, yeah, final question. Where can everybody find you out on social media?
Yep. Here's to the night.com.
They just redid their website too, by the way. Actually, very user friendly. Love the new.
Here's to the night.com. Everything's on there. Our social media, mailing list, schedule, pictures, promo video. Everything's on there. So that's one stop shop.
Guys, get out there and see them. We're going to have fun tonight. It's a Halloween show. We're up at Looney's North. But get out and see them. Check them out. You can get them also. You can get to their website through our page as well. So hit them up. Great band. Here's the night. Guys, thank you. This was an awful lot of fun.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it.